In late 1997, two rival bikie gangs were battling for control of Sydney's lucrative inner-city drug trade. It all came to a head at this place, the Blackmarket Cafe.
So we're having a fucking meeting.
This isn't a fucking meeting, you dickhead.
There's been a conversation take place, but at some stage it has really turned nasty.
It was an ambush. Three of them wouldn't have suspected a thing. None of them.
For the first time, crime scene footage from one of the most cold-blooded and callous executions ever seen in this country.
Don't you fucking do it.
Just what happened and why. Tonight on Gangs of Oz.
Don't do it!
Also,
it's all about money, drugs, and it's a business.
A bike is supposed to all be poor, while everyone else can be rich.
we show how the Hells Angels introduced a new and dangerous drug into our country.
It was not just a small Mickey Mouse outfit, it was big money.
And the night of passion that brought down a major drug ring.
They are the one percenters. They see themselves as different to the mainstream Australian law-abiding citizens, and they believe they can do whatever they want, whenever they want.
They're bikies, but don't be fooled into thinking they just love their motorcycles in the open road.
Three nomads were shot in Marrickville. The Hells Angels Petersham clubhouse was firebombed. A Rebels member was killed. Bandidos and Notorious ambushed each other.
Another man came up with a pole and just started smashing it into his head.
These days it's crime, not Harleys, that bond most outlaw motorcycle gangs. More and more motorbikes are optional extras.
It's all bikie business. It's all about drugs. It's about money and it's about power.
Motorcycle club members are like anyone else. They've got to get up early in the morning to go to work, they've got to pay bills, they've got to look after their family.
We have irrefutable evidence that they are involved in drug trafficking, money laundering, extortion, assault, to murder.
Bikies are businessmen and very successful. Sure, they don't wear suits and ties, but they are keenly aware of supply and demand. They know all about distribution networks. And when it comes to maximising market share, they are fiercely competitive.
Bikies by themselves, and I'm talking outlaw motorcycle gangs, they are simply just drug-dealing thugs with stickers on their backs, and they create fear in the community, but that's all they are. It's like a cancer. It's just spreading across the world and eventually it's going to choke everyone to death.
The Australian Crime Commission says there are 39 outlaw motorcycle gangs operating in Australia. Some are small and little known. Others are international franchises. Altogether, these clubs have 3,300 fully patched members, and there are thousands more wannabes and associates. So let's take a look at four of the biggest and best-known bikie corporations. First up are the Nomads. They started out small in Australia 41 years ago. But boy, how they've grown.
A shooting outside the Nomads Club near Penrith yesterday morning. The victim, an innocent newspaper deliveryman. He'd simply parked in the Nomads driveway for a paper drop when someone opened fire.
The Rebels ride under the Confederate flag. They're the biggest bikie gang in Australia, with dozens of chapters dotted around the country. And they're led by this man, millionaire Alex Vella, probably Australia's best-known bikie.
We're not here to break the law, we're here just to... It's a sport to us, we ride bikes, like people play soccer and football, no big deal.
There's a large amount of intelligence, there's large numbers of arrests, there's large numbers of successful investigations being conducted specifically on the Rebels Outlaw Motorcycle Gang. You know, to say that we just ride our bikes, well, Mr Vella should have this massive concern of all the criminals that he's hanging around with.
The Bandidos have a long history of violence.
Shotgun blasts from both sides of the car park left 4 Comancheros and 2 Bandidos dead. A schoolgirl was shot dead in the crossfire.
Last but certainly not least, the Hells Angels. Smaller in number than the others, but with an international reputation second to none. The Angels can take credit for cooking up the first locally made batch of methamphetamine. It was the early 80s, and the man with the recipe was Peter Hill, Australia's first master chef, a Melbourne private school boy with wealthy parents and a taste for the darker side of life.
He was a very interesting fellow, not a snarly type like a lot of bikies are, and he had a weird sense of humour. He has the 23rd Psalm tattooed on his left arm, which says, "Yea, though I walk through the valley of death, I fear no evil, for I am the evilest motherfucker that walks through the valley."
Former Victorian police officer Bob Armstrong made it his mission to shut down Hill's fledgling drug operation.
I certainly think we can blame Peter Hill for the first lot of methamphetamine that was made by bikies in this country. I travelled to America and visited people in jail over there who were other Hells Angels from Oakland in California, obtained the recipe, how to make speed. He was the one with the knowledge, the know-how, and basically put it all together.
The relationship between the Hells Angels in California and their Melbourne counterparts was mutually beneficial. The Americans had the recipe, and their Aussie brothers had access to the chemicals needed to make the drugs.
They were concealing it in pineapple cans and transporting that to America, so they had it all worked out with a big canning machine and had shipping agents, and it was not just a small Mickey Mouse outfit, it was big money. It was an obscene amount of money for that time. It was surprised me the amount of money they were making, and of course we had listening devices recorded in their speed lab, and when you hear things like they're saying, should I buy 2 houses for 50,000 each, or should I buy 1 house for 100,000?
One way the Angels laundered their ill-gotten gains was by gambling.
And they were spending $1,500 per week on Tats Lotto. That's an extreme amount of money. They eventually won Tats Lotto, First Division. And the name of the ticket? Snow White. So they thought that was quite humorous.
Bob Armstrong launched raid after raid on Hells Angels' homes and clubhouses. He was making an impact. He was damaging to morale. Worse still, he was bad for business. Something had to be done.
I received a phone call from Audrey Hill, Peter Hill's mother, and she warned me I should be careful because she thought Peter was going to do something. The information was a bit vague initially.
Armstrong.
And it went along the lines of, well, there's someone from America going to come out here to kill you. And he's known as the assassin.
His real name was James Brandis. He'd also just been acquitted of trying to murder an American policeman. He posed a very serious threat to Bob Armstrong, and he was winging his way to Melbourne. Still to come on Gangs of Oz, the race to catch a hired assassin before he carries out his hit. And for the first time, police reveal what really happened in the basement of this inner-city cafe.